Everyone knows the sweet side of the Caribbean, but our savory pastries are the real hidden gems. Today, I am going to be taking on the challenge of making only four Caribbean pastries that are well known. There's much more than four, but today, only four. So, we are going to be starting with delicious chicken puffs to saltfish pies, and not just saltfish pies because we are going to be making pastry from laminated dough, and I have a deep tutorial that you don't want to miss. After this will be followed by soft and amazing coconut tarts that you can make right in the comfort of your very own home. First up, we are going to be making the French origin chicken puffs. Start off my choux paste. I am using eggs, salt, sugar, butter. I am not using the actual 100% butter. I'm using margarine, olive oil margarine, just to save cost. I have flour and I am using water. So let's head over to the pot. In my pot, I am adding the water, salt, sugar, and for the fat I am adding the butter. This is for flavor and to prevent the flour from clumping. I am just allowing everything to come to a simmer, not a boil, and I'm going to add the flour. Now that it's simmering, it's not onto a boil. There's light smoke that is coming from inside the pot, and that's what you're looking for. And I'm going to add the flour now. And I am going back in with my spatula. You want to mix this until you see a light film and all the flour is coated in the liquid. And what you are looking for is the mixture to come into a ball, leaving a light film at the bottom of the pot. And you also want to cook this on a low heat, low and slow, to make sure that the flour cooks properly. The film has started to come, but I still want to make sure that my flour cooks out. Still seeing bits of flour. I want to get all of that out by pressing as I see the white of the flour. From this point, it should take about 5 minutes to cook. The film has started to come, if you would see here. And I'm not sure if I mentioned before, you must cook this on very low heat because it will burn. Heat levels from 1 to 8, and I am cooking this on a level 3. When this is done, I am going to put this in a bowl and allow it to cool down completely. I'm just going to put it in my bowl and set it aside. While the choux paste is cooling, I am going to start my chicken filling. I am using 2 leg and thighs for this. You can also use chicken breast. I am going to debone these and you will see how I will prepare it. So I've since deboned and washed these out, and I am going to start the preparation for the chicken filling. I am seasoning this with a light seasoning. So I've added homemade green seasoning. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of sea salt. I'm just going to give this a really quick mix. I don't need to over season this at this point because there's a lot of flavors that are going to go into this. I have a pot of simmering water and I am going in with 3 cloves of garlic, 1 small piece of chicken bouillon. I am adding the chicken to this and allow it to cook. I'm just going to give this a nice mix and allow the chicken to cook. The temperature of the choux paste has dropped and it's time to add the eggs without it being scrambled. I am adding the eggs one at a time. I am making this entire recipe by hand, which is very difficult because it takes a lot of time to mix the eggs into the choux paste, but we are going to do this. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please click the subscription button, click the notification bell and the thumbs up button. Drop your comment in the comment section and let me know where you are watching from. I am from Trinidad and Tobago and I would like to know you. Now I am adding the second egg. And I just want to use pressing motion. Long time when you used to make choux paste, you had to use your hand. For the third egg, and now for the last and final egg. We are almost there. And this is just about done. And I would suggest if you have a mixer to save time, you can use it. Now for the next step. To pipe these, I am using a 6B tip. You don't have to use this, you can use a different kind of tip. I am using a silicone piping bag. If you are using a disposable bag, I would suggest you double it up, and if you are using a Ziploc bag, I will also suggest you double it up. I am making some big chicken puffs about 3 inches. So you want to go in with your tip. You want to cover at 3 inches. This should be good. And you want to overlap and come over. And I'm going to show you how to remove those tips and get them nice and flat without burning. And we are almost done. To remove the tip, I am just dipping my finger in water and just pat them down. For the egg wash, I am using 1 egg and 1 tablespoon of water. And guys, I am adding 2 more tablespoons of water to the egg wash. So that is a total of 3 tablespoons. And this is because normally I spray water on my choux pastry before I bake them. But I don't have one on hand right now, so I added the water to the egg wash. This way I will get more steam from the egg wash. Now I'm going to brush my pastry. Just a gentle brush. Now it's time to bake these up, and I'm going to have all the ingredients and the baking time in the description box below. The chicken thighs are done, and I will now transfer these to my food processor and grind them up. The chicken is now done, and I have ground this up in my food processor, and now it's time to finish it off. For the flavors, I am adding some parsley and green onions. You don't have to chop these the way how I chop them, you could grate them as well. Some chopped green peppers, chopped red peppers, and onions. I am adding a dash of Cajun seasoning to this because I want a little bit of heat to it. Just a dash of chili flakes. Some cracked black pepper. I am adding half a cup of mayo and I am mixing. I want this to look very pretty, and very colorful. It smells amazing. Guys, you should try this recipe. And if you try this recipe, please drop it in the comment section below and let me know how it turned out. Now I'm going to taste it for salt. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of salt to this. And I'm adding just a teaspoon of lime juice, fresh lime juice. So this is a savory pastry, and I want the word savory to have its meaning. And this is done. These are almost done, and I'm just going to poke them 3 holes on each one and put them back in my oven at a higher temperature. This is because I want the moisture from inside of them to dry out. The pâté choux are now done, and I have since allowed them to cool. They are very soft and stand up. To fill these, I could just pipe it in the bottom of the piping bag, or I could just slice them, which I am going to do that way. I am just going to cut these halfway so you can see the inside. And now I'm going to fill these up. And here you have it, some crowd-pleasing chicken puffs, Caribbean style. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a huge thumbs up, drop a comment in the comment section. Please be sure to click the notification bell that whenever I do a new video, you will be notified. Up next, the art of dough laminating. And you want to stick around because this is a pastry that we are going to be using to make our saltfish pies. And you want to avoid things, and you want to get all the do's and don'ts to get it right
In my bowl,
every
I have
single
some
time.
all-purpose flour, and I'm going to go in with some salt and 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm gonna break up my butter with my hands. I don't want to see any lumps in my butter, so I'm breaking it up until you can't see, until it actually blends in with the flour. I want my dough to be nice and smooth. I'm gonna go in with some ice cold water, and I'm gonna add my water gradually. And this is because you can add water, but you cannot take away water. So I don't want to make my dough too sticky. I just want to make it just right. I am mixing this until it comes together, until all the dry flour from the bottom of the bowl is on the flour, and then I'm going to mix this on my counter. I will be mixing this until it comes to the 3rd stage of dough mixing, which is that part where you have a lot of holes and a lot of cradle is smooth. As you can see, there's a lot of rough areas around my dough, and that's what you want to see. The 1st stage of dough development is the pickup stage. That is where you're picking up all the flour. The 2nd stage is a cleanup stage. That is where you're cleaning up all the little dough pieces on the edges of the bowl. The 3rd stage is, this is our 3rd stage. I am going to let this dough sit in the refrigerator for 30 minutes, and I am going to work on the block of butter. I am using my baking pan as my mold, and I'm lining it with plastic wrap so that when I remove it from the pan, it holds its shape nicely without any trouble. and this makes it effortless to spread. This seems to be too much work for my spatula, so I am going to go in with my hands. You can find the full detailed recipe for this puff pastry in the description box just below. I am distributing the butter so that it gives me about 1 inch in thickness. This takes a lot of time and you really have to be patient when working with pastry. But the key to any good pastry is patience and temperature. Now my butter block is done, I am going to remove it and I am just shaping it, smoothing off the edges, and I'm going to put this in my freezer for about 30 minutes. The dough is now nice and chilled, and I am going to laminate this by folding the butter into the dough numerous times. This process is called laminating. So I am going to roll out my dough and I am going to place my butter inside of it and fold it up, and I am going to roll this out 3 times. So it's going to take quite a while, but I am going to explain everything as I go along. Watch until the end. Because this is my first roll, I am not going to roll the dough too thin, and neither am I going to be using a lot of flour, because flour tends to change the recipe. My surface is nice and smooth enough to manage until I go into my second and third fold. I am stretching this out into a diamond shape, and I am going to place the butter in square, so I am using my butter to measure to ensure that I have enough ends to cover the entire butter block. I'm just going to stretch this out just a little bit, not too much. Now it's ready. I am going to place the butter on my dough as a square and not to match the diamond. This is because I want east, west, north and south of my dough, the diamond, to be free to be able to wrap it and fold it over the butter. Now I am going to completely hide the butter. I am now turning and I am going to roll this with the seam side down. I am lightly flouring my surface so that the dough doesn't stick. Now that the butter is in, it is very critical to have a floured surface. But for the first roll, I am going to only use just a little bit of flour, not a lot. I am going to ensure that my dough never sticks onto my counter. And this is because once the dough begins to tear, the butter is going to seep out. I am using my rolling pin to gently press on the butter on the inside to help me warm it up. As well, I am going to also use my hands to distribute the butter in the corners of the dough on the inside. Bubbles sometimes can be okay, but what I do to eliminate my bubbles, I push them into a direction so that the air comes out from the dough. I am not pressing hard on this dough. I am pushing and I'm pulling, pushing the butter and pulling it back so that it's evenly on the inside. You cannot apply too much pressure on this dough because the butter will split and it won't bake as puffy as it should. I am going to fold this into a book fold. I am going to fold it twice on the two ends, top to bottom, and then I am folding it over onto each other. Throughout this entire process, you are going to see me shaping the dough and keeping it in a rectangular form. And I do this because at the end, when I am making my pastries, I don't like to trim too much or trim off too much excess. So I try to keep it as straight as possible to prevent this. I am covering this and place it in the refrigerator for 20 minutes where the butter is not too hard but still pliable. And I'm going to come back and do the second fold. It has been 20 minutes and I am now going to flour my surface just a little bit more than the first roll. And this is because as I roll the second roll, the layers in between, the flour layers, become more thin, and this is critical because the butter has a very high chance of escaping. And I have to ensure that my surface has flour so that the dough moves around and it doesn't stick to the surface and breaks apart. I am also rolling my dough in the opposite direction of where I rolled before. If you look at my fold, I am not rolling and I am not going to fold in the same direction. I am avoiding rolling too hard because the edge of the rolling pin can cut into the dough. And to help me with this, I am going to be using a smaller rolling pin without sharp edges to roll the balance of the dough. Remember to keep the shape of the dough in a rectangular form. Using a smaller rolling pin also helps me to push the butter to the very end of the dough and to level it off. As you can see, it's quite thick on the edges, so I am just using my rolling pin to level it off so that all the butter goes to the edge. The second book fold is going to the opposite direction from the first book fold. The first fold I went up, down. This one I going left, right, or right, left. I am keeping my dough in shape before I sprinkle some dusting flour on my parchment paper, and this is to prevent my dough from sticking, especially in this crucial stage. I have done so much already and I don't want it to spoil. I am covering my pastry with plastic wrap before I place my towel over it. And this goes in the fridge for 20 more minutes and we are almost at the end. Everyone loves some good, flaky, moist, delicious puff pastry. Let me know in the comment section below, what is your favorite pastry? Me, I love any type of pastry. As long as it's flaky, it's moist, savory, sweet, you name it, I like it. For the last roll and fold, I am ensuring that my dough is constantly moving because it's going to be really hard for the dough to break at this point. And I am going to fold this up to down or down to up. So between this, we have those beautiful layers: butter, flour, butter, flour, butter, flour, butter, flour. And this is going to create steam and make the pastry layers puff up. Look at how straight, and the thickness is very even. It's about 1/4 inch. And this is a reason why throughout the tutorial I've been saying keep the dough in shape. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button, click the notification above at the right corner, and consider subscribing for more delicious recipes. At the end of this video, I am going to cut into the pastry so you can see what it looks like on the inside. You do not have to use this pastry right away. You can fold it, wrap it in plastic wrap, place it in the freezer or your deep freeze for up to 6 months, and you can have pastries whenever you like. I will be using this pastry to make saltfish pies, so you can look out for that recipe. Finally, we have done all the tedious work. Let's get into the art of making our delicious, soft and flaky saltfish pies. And you don't want to go anywhere just yet, because up next is the famous coconut tart, coming up just after this. Let's gradually work our way up from the flavor to the texture and the color to get this
bold flakiness. If you are still baking with us, take this moment to hit that subscription button and the notification bell.
Today I am going to be using 2 pounds of salted albacore that was done homemade in Tobago. This has already been boiled and I am going to allow it to sit in this cold water until I am ready to debone and remove the salt. I am also going to be using just a little bit of olive oil, not too much, because I don't want the inside of the pastry to be oily. I'm going to be using onions, green peppers, bell peppers, garlic, and I'm also going to be using a piece of flavor pepper, some grated carrots and red onions for sweetness and color. I am coarsely chopping my flavors with my magic bullet, but these can also be grated or chopped with a knife. These are nicely chopped and I am now ready to prepare my saltfish. I'm just going to take out the bones, break these up in the sink in my bowl, and I'm going to pass this through a strainer and rinse off all the water. This is what it looks like now. I broke this up really fine in small pieces because they are going to be used as a filling, and I want them to take up the flavors of my seasonings quite well. My pan is very hot and I am going to go in with some oil, flavorings. I'm going to saute this until the onions become translucent. I'm not going to burn it because this is going to go into the oven and it's going to continue to cook. My carrots. If you have scotch bonnet pepper, you can add it at this point or anytime before you add the saltfish to give the flavors a chance to marinate. I am going to be using some red pepper flakes. I am adding the pepper flakes when it's almost finished cooking. And finally, the saltfish. This has been cooking for 10 minutes and I'm going to remove from the heat and allow it to cool while I prepare the pastry.
I am using my own puff pastry recipe, and you can find this recipe in the description box below. While I am rolling the dough, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, click the like button below, and the notification bell just above it on your right corner for more delicious and global recipes. Half of this puff pastry will be used to make 8 saltfish pies, and the other half I will use at another time. The pastry is being rolled out into a 43-inch by 14-inch rectangles. Then I am going to cut them into 5 by 7-inch rectangles. The filling is now completely cooled and is ready to be used. I am adding about 3 tablespoons with each knife. The pies will be sealed with egg wash, and this consists of 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of water, and some dried thyme. The thyme will be for garnish, presentation, and for flavor. Only brush the lower end of the pastry with egg wash. Fold it over and lightly press. Using a fork, seal the edges. I am using a pizza cutter to straighten the edges of my pies. You can use a knife. I am placing these on my baking sheet while I finish the others. Making pastries takes a lot of time. The most trying part would be to make the pastry, which you can also have the store bought, but it's not as delicious as homemade of fish. I love trimming and straightening up the edges of my pies or any pastry that I do, just because it makes it more presentable. Now that they are all done, it's time to add the egg wash. After this, I am going to use my fork and poke 3 sets of hole on each pie. This is to prevent the pies from puffing up and bursting on the sides. So it's going to release steam from the inside through the hole. These saltfish pies are going to be baked at 360 degrees Fahrenheit for just about 35 minutes or until they are nice and golden brown. But before that, I am going to place these in my freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes. These have to be very cold or even frozen before they go in. And there you have it. Delicious, flaky, golden brown salt fish pies. Finally, baking school is almost over. So now it's time to get into our delicious coconut tarts, and these are up next. We are almost done baking school. Let's make soft, fluffy, and glossy coconut tarts. To start off making our Caribbean coconut tart, we're gonna start off by cooking the coconut and add the fragrances to it. We're gonna add 1 grated coconut. To this, we're gonna add 3 cups of water. We have to cook the coconut properly. We're adding a very important ingredient, ginger, freshly grated ginger, half tablespoon of cinnamon, and now I'm going to grate in half of a fresh nutmeg. Fresh nutmeg has the best flavor, as the ones in the pack, the flavor has already gone out of it, so you won't get the most out of it. Half teaspoon of salt to balance the salt and sweet. 1 tablespoon of a good vanilla. 1 cup of packed brown sugar. And I'm adding 2 bay leaves to this. Caribbean bay leaves are the best bay leaves that I find. The flavor is best for baked items. I'm going to give this a nice mix and allow the coconut to cook in all these flavors. If you have tonka beans are also good to add to this as well. But in North America we don't have tonka beans, so I'm just going to make it the best way I can. So allow this to cook and we're going to come back. Okay, so this is almost done and it has reduced almost all of it, so it has another 20% to go. We don't want our coconut to be too dry, so we're going to keep eyeballing it from here. Just about 10 to 15 more minutes and it should be good. Okay, so this is now done. You don't want it to dry out too much. You still want a little liquid in it, slight amount of liquid, because if it dries out, it means that you're heading to sugar cake or glitter cake. So this is done. done, allow it to cool. To begin the dough, we're gonna start off by adding a third of a teaspoon of yeast. I'm only adding a little bit of my sugar just for now, and then adding 1 cup of water. We're gonna allow the yeast to feed in the sugar and wake up, and then we're gonna move on. Let's add the rest of sugar, baking powder, and let's gradually add the flour and water in intervals before we add the other ingredients. I want it to be a very light tart, so I want my dough to be very sticky. Add water. And please don't judge me because I'm mixing this with a spoon. Eventually I'm going to go ahead and mix it with my hand. And I'm going to add my salt. Let's add the rest of flour and the rest of water. So I use 4 cups of flour in this recipe. Before we turn it off to the countertop, add the butter. I could have added the butter earlier, but I prefer not to. Beautiful. So now we're going to turn this off on our countertop and we're going to mix it by hand. It must be buttery soft. So now let's add some flour on our surface, and we're going to finish kneading. I'm adding half a cup of flour into the recipe. Add some flour on top. You want to use clean hands so that dough does not stick, and we're going to mix in all that butter and everything in there. If you want to knead it by hand from the very beginning, you can of course do that, but I want my dough to be very soft, so I prefer to use a spoon in the beginning. So I added an extra half a cup of flour, so in total I use 4 cups in the dough, and I'm using half a cup to mix it in. Our dough is now done, nice and soft, and I'm going to add this to a bowl. I'm going to let it sit on the counter for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, just until it doubles in size. Okay, so now our filling is done, and as you can see, it's nice and moist, it's not dry. Once it's cool, it's gonna thicken up. So now we're gonna fill our coconut tart. The dough has risen nicely, and now we're gonna go ahead and assemble. So this is how soft, it's not sticking to my hand. This is how soft you want it. We're gonna flour our surface again, and we're gonna make about 12 coconut tarts. Pour the mixture out. I'm gonna dust some flour on top, and now it's good to work with. I'm gonna gently press it out, and we're gonna divide it up. I'm gonna try to make it equal sizes for presentation. I have went ahead and rolled out our dough balls, and we have 10. It's more than 10, it's about 16, but I'm only going to do 10 for camera. So we're going to take one and roll it out. We're not making these too big. Get a nice circumference and not too thin either. Now I'm gonna brush this with water. You could use your hand, you could use milk, but I prefer to use water and the brush. Add the filling on one half. If you want to add more coconut, you can, but this is sufficient for me because this flavor goes a long way. If you are enjoying this video so far, please give this video a thumbs up, click the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. You can also help me to grow this channel by sharing this video. Now let's give them a quick brush off the excess flour, and we're going to bake these until they are nice and golden. And here you have it, my recipe for coconut tart. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. Thank you for watching. See you on another good day for another great recipe.